All right, team. Happy Monday. Quick lunch break for me here to drop some things I've been meaning to say. There's so much going on in the financial markets, in the crypto markets, particularly with Bitcoin, the manipulation that's going on. Things are looking good today, which is great, and we're going to go through that. I'm going to look at that with you. I'm going to look out long term as well. I'm going to share with you an ominous comment that I got on one of the first Bitcoin videos I ever made. There's two sort of red flaggy things for me that are, I don't want to say scary, but things that I feel like I have to share. So let's put it that way. I feel like I have to share these particular items, and whether they end up holding in or fruit or not, I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. And I am posting this as a live stream as opposed to normally just posting a video. So if there are comments or anything like that, we'll pull them up. I know it's midday on a Monday, so most people are probably working. I know I am anyway. So here's a couple of things. First of all, I'm going to give you the first two pieces of bad news first, and then we'll sort of look at the good news, the good side, the upside to what we've learned. I got, two pieces of scariness, and then we'll talk about the bad news, and then we'll talk about what the potential upside is. So I'm going to go worst to first for you today. First, good friend of mine works at a huge financial firm, and he said that they are not allowed to own Bitcoin personally, not just in their trading account with the financial firm, but they cannot personally own Bitcoin. They're not allowed to in order to work where they work. So the bullish side of me hears that and says, okay, well, if they're not allowed to own Bitcoin and they work at a big financial institution, maybe it's because, the financial institution doesn't want them owning Bitcoin, seeing it go higher and then talking about it to people. Maybe they're putting this ban on Bitcoin inside the company because they don't want their employees to be talking about it to one another and talking about it to clients. That's what the bullish side of me wants to think. The other side of me wants to think, or doesn't want to think, but the bearish side, the devil on my shoulder, if you will, says, but they don't want them to own Bitcoin. Maybe it's because they don't want them to get burned. And then turns out that the financial institution, the whales, the people who are manipulating the market, which we're going to show you here in a second, maybe they don't want them to get hurt, and therefore there'd be some sort of liability because it was caused by their employer. I'm not sure, but to me that felt like that could be a negative. So I'm going to share it. Okay, I'm going to try to share everything that I have here that's negative. This was the first Bitcoin video I made. Bitcoin will fail, so why am I buying it? And what I meant by fail was not that it would go lower necessarily, but that it's not going to be what everyone, I'm sorry, here, hold on a second. One-man production. It's not going to be the financial freedom, the independence that everyone thinks it's going to be. Now, the elites and the people who control the markets, they'll let us believe this. I think that they will let Bitcoin live and, allow us to believe that we are in control, or allow us to believe that we have decentralized ourselves from them. The central banks will never let go of this. And, they fight wars over this stuff. You think they won't, win this battle? They will if they want to. But I think they need to create complacency as well. So I think they'll let us have it as long as they're in control of it, which is what's going on right now. What I wanted to share with you from this video was a comment I got. And most of the time, with YouTube, comments aren't worth that much. This, however, seemed extremely legit because this person clearly watched the video. This is what he said. I'll leave this comment for everyone to look back on this once the value of Bitcoin reaches near zero. I've spent 15 years working for one of the largest financial institutions in the United States. The narrative you are communicating to the public is fundamentally wrong. Financial institutions, hedge funds, etc., are already heavily vested in Bitcoin. Moreover, I, along with my fellow employees, were made aware of Bitcoin back in 2013. I'll make this clear. Financial institutions have ultimate control over Bitcoin. Okay? We're finding this to be true. So what's scary about this is that at the time that this comment happened, I remember replying to him. I remember thinking that, he probably realizes they have control over everything. They probably think they have control over Bitcoin too, but they probably don't. But we've now seen that this is true. So the reason why I'm bringing this comment back up is because if he was right about this, I'll make this clear. Financial institutions have ultimate control over Bitcoin, and we have found that to really be true here recently. then maybe he's right about it going to zero. It's not causing me to sell. I'm just telling you. I don't think it's going to go to zero because this also is conflictive. He says that they are heavily vested in Bitcoin, yet the price will go near zero. Why, if they're heavily invested in Bitcoin and they can control the market, why would they want it to go to zero? What would be the point of that? Why wouldn't you want to just continue controlling it and using it as an ATM machine like you do everything else you control? You know? So that doesn't make sense. Maybe this is what they have been told. Maybe this is what financial institutions told their employees. Hey, Bitcoin is going to go to zero, so don't buy it and don't tell anyone else to buy it, or you could be in really big trouble. Maybe they said that, and maybe that's why. He said all financial institutions have cryptocurrency wallets and have been in possession of such wallets since 2013. The institution I worked for has a Coinbase wallet in the exact same way as we all do. As noted above, I will leave this and let the truth of the matter prevail. So maybe he's just a never coiner. I don't know. Maybe he was given bad information by his employer. I don't know. But what's clear now is that he was right about this. Financial institutions have ultimate control over Bitcoin. And that is part of the reason why I think things have been so bearish, because people realize this now. I just posted this video. Just posted it on Twitter at DiamondHandsD. This is one of the most viral videos right now in the Bitcoin space because it's a video that this man made when Bitcoin was trading around 50,000. And this is Uncomplication is his YouTube handle. If you want to check him out. Bitcoin was around 50,000 and he identified the Wyckoff distribution chart playing out almost to a T. This is the Wyckoff distribution channel. And this was based on Wyckoff was a guy who was sick of the elites manipulating the market before the depression, the crash there. And he came up with this schematic of how they use people's emotions and how they move the market around in a certain way to get the best desired result for them. And so far, this is playing out like almost perfectly. Like we have come down. And when he said this, when it was at 50,000, he said his target was around 30,000. And that's where we wicked down to. So a lot of people at this point think that that's where we're going to consolidate. We're going to consolidate around 30,000, maybe between 28 and 32. I think it looks more like 30 and 40. We're going to consolidate between 30 and 40,000. We'll look at the charts here in a second, but this is a great video to watch. So check out this video, look up this channel or go to my Twitter and just click on the most recent post there at DiamondHandsD. And I'm going to go through a couple more things here too. But you can see now that Wall Street is in fact, and a lot of the on-chain stuff as well that I'm posting shows that huge amounts of coins coming onto the exchanges right before the price drops, more coins than that going off the exchanges later. It's sometimes same day. So it looks like Wall Street has a lot of coins. They're using their same old tricks to manipulate Bitcoin. So then the question becomes, is this a good thing or not? Because there's a lot of really positive things you could look at this with. And I will show you one thing here too. While we're talking about it, let's look at this. Sorry, I wasn't super prepared to go to this, to cut to this. But will it not let me do it now? Sorry, I got to move some things around. Okay, this is a stock to flow model. Now, one thing you can see about this is that every time, and this is the stock to flow at 100 trillion USD, plan B. Everybody knows this guy who's basically charted out the path of Bitcoin from the beginning. And this is a mathematical equation, and it has turned out to be very, very accurate so far and is still perfectly within the realm of accuracy. Now, this was as of this morning, so this does not have today's trading action in it. And a lot of people believe in this model. And if Wall Street is manipulating, why would they allow this model to work? Well, they may use this model, allow this model to work so that they could one day really crush us. I mean, what if they let this thing work all the way up to right here, right when we think it's about to spike, and then they murder it? You know, they'll have so many people long right here expecting this huge move. So that we can't take the Wall Street manipulation and say, well, plan B has this model that's stronger than Wall Street. We don't know that to be true. But what you can see is that typically when you exceed, now this inner line here is the exact model, the exact equation, and there's different variances. So the darker blue is a less of a variance than the lighter blue. Whenever Bitcoin has gotten outside of this, okay, it's typically been a good time high. On the high side, it's typically been a good side to sell and then rebuy in once you're back in the channel. So out of the channel, back in the channel, buy, higher. Out of the channel, back in the channel, buy, and then guess what? By this time, it just runs higher. And also on the low side, we've never gotten out of the channel on the lower blue end. Notice that this variance here has held pretty much through everything except for this one dip right here in 2019. This one dip right here in 2019, which was a consolidation underneath that, which was, by the way, at around, what, 6,000? Bitcoin was 6,000 right here. So it's up 500% from there. That was a buying opportunity. Again, touch the bottom of the channel. Remember, we've just only touched the bottom of the channel. And each time it's been a great time to buy. It's been a tremendous time to buy at the bottom of that channel. Even over here, tremendous time to buy at the bottom of the channel. And then look where we are right now. We are right at the bottom of the channel. So that, to me, if you believe in plan B, that to me is a good sign. It's a good sign. Now, will it come to fruition? It's hard to say. It's hard to say if that'll come to fruition or not, but it's a good sign. It looks really good. It makes it look like this is a buying opportunity. But again, if Wall Street's manipulating, they would use this against us. And they would say, oh, everyone's going to think this is a great buying opportunity because of this model. And then they dump on it. So that is also possible. We got to keep that in mind. I'll just tell you what my investment thesis is on this. And in fact, let me blow this back up. The reason why I'm holding Bitcoin and buying more every week, and the reason why I'm bullish still, even though I am short-term sort of bearish and confused, I'm planning on waiting to the next epoch, which is going to be the next halving somewhere around here, and I'm wanting to sell up in this range. So for me, this is 2025. My trading plan is to be in this until January 2025. I cannot sell until January 2025 unless it hits 400,000. At any point in time, if Bitcoin it hits 400,000, I can sell according to my trading plan, according to my investment plan. I can sell at 400,000, as much or all of it if I want to. I have that freedom inside my plan, but I can't sell prior to that. And I cannot sell prior to January 2025 unless it hits 400,000. So that's the freedom I've given myself inside of my own trading plan so I don't get in my own way, basically. And I think everyone should be prepared and understand that the money you invest in crypto could go to zero. Many people believe that that's off the table. And maybe it is. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I think that's a good way to look at every investment. What are you going to do if this goes down 50%? You're going to sell? What if it's down 90%? What are you going to do? You going to buy more? You going to sell? Having those things determined ahead of time, I think, is a very, very smart thing to do. Let's look at a couple other things here. I do want to show you. Here's Plan B talking about his, his mathematics. This is the mathematical equation right here. Notice what he says, though. Basically, stay focused on 20, 40 halving and beyond. I don't care about volatility. Asymmetric return is key. 0 versus 1 million. So he said, I will write it to 0 or 1 million plus and size my initial position accordingly. This is actually great advice. I'm less interested in, 100,000 to 288,000, but focused on 2024 halving and beyond. So for me, this is a very long-term investment. And for Plan B, it is as well. I think that makes sense. One of the other things on my page here you saw was, and this guy Ross from NIDIG, Ross Stevens, he was talking about the number of signups they have on things that are just using the simple Bitcoin application for transfer of value and transfer of money. And it's absolutely insane. And that is super, super bullish. I retweet a lot of Dan Held because he makes such great points and he's really an OG in the crypto space. This guy, Dan from CCV, he follows a lot of Cardano stuff. He's very realistic. He's not a hopium guy. So I like that. Here's a guy who just made all the points that I wanted to make. Here's why I'm buying and not selling Bitcoin. And he lists them out. Central bank's still printing money. A lot. 1 year hodl wave hasn't reset. True. Inflation is coming. It's already here. No climate, climatic top. Volume or speed. True. Peak FUD. And you saw that. They even said China ban. I mean, when you see China banning, Bitcoin, that is being news. They've been talking about this from the very beginning. It's clearly FUD. It's clearly a coordinated attack on Bitcoin to try to get it lower. And we believe that the reason they want it lower is so that the institutions can buy back in. That looks and appears to be what's happening. And they could fake us out with that too, because they know what we can see. So when the bad guys know what we see and what we're evaluating, they can manipulate that. It is possible. I did say this too before the weekend. Get ready for fireworks one way or the other, and we saw it. We saw it. Bitcoin take a real hit this weekend, and unfortunately, that's the way it goes right now. And we're going to look at this. Here's something I want to show you, and this is sort of evidence. This is the thing I've been looking for. So this is the evidence. This is over the weekend. It was the 22nd, so was that Saturday? This is over the weekend when. And it was before Bitcoin really got killed. But look at everything here. This shows you the market is getting hit hard, but Bitcoin is the only thing that's green. Why? Because you have the institutional purchasing. When they knock Bitcoin down, it sends a ripple effect to all the other coins, but they stay in and buy the Bitcoin and not the other stuff. So that's the reason you see this. Now let's get into the chart here, because things look good right now on the chart for some people. But I'm going to tell you, don't be faked out by this. We're actually going to start, you know what? Let's start zoomed in. We'll start zoomed in. Okay, so what you have right now is what looks to be like a really good, we're going higher pattern. This is on the 15-minute chart. And I normally don't look at the 15-minute chart. You guys know that. But the reason for looking at the 15-minute chart right now is one that makes a lot of sense. Look at this. This is the kind of thing you want to see if we're going to go higher. This is where former resistance becomes support. Okay, so you have resistance, it turns into support, we go higher. And then again, resistance here becomes support. And then we go higher. And then look at this, again. Former resistance becomes support, and we go higher. So this looks great, on the short-term chart. 15-minute chart looks like, hey, we're just marching higher here. Beautifully in lockstep. Everything looks great. Okay. Some people called this as well, a reverse head and shoulders on these short-term charts, which Bitcoin is notorious for. And we've gone much higher from there. This is the lows down here, the 31s we got to over the weekend, marched up higher nicely from there. Very, very low volume coming in. So if the institutions are buying here, they're doing it very cautiously, it appears. And it looks more like they were buying in this area, and this area is what it looks like. But if they just step to the side, this is what Bitcoin will do. If the institutions would get out of the way, Bitcoin would just go higher and higher and higher. And right now, okay, let's go to the 1 hour. I want to keep talking about this, but I want you to see what's really happening. So in the 1 hour, we're back to a spot where we've just had a lot of challenges. Okay, this 38,000 spot. We've had a lot of challenges here. What would be bullish to me, finally, here on the 1 hour, is we are appearing to bounce, to maintain this upward trend line here and bounce off of the 100-day moving average, which is right here. So it looks like we've got this upward trend intact. We're heading right straight for this big resistance area here. We're above the 100. The 100 appears to be providing support. This is right where the bad guys, will come in on the next candle and just go boom. And they can do that because they can just market sell 10,000 BTC, and that's what happens. And it'll freak everyone out. And then what they do is they couple a story with it, or some talking head coming out and saying, like, whoever it is would come out and say, hey, I changed my mind on Bitcoin. I don't like it anymore. Or China FUD, China's canceling Bitcoin. Or they interview these people on CNBC and then they promote the articles everywhere. And so people think, oh, okay, that's why it's selling off. No, that's not why it's selling off, but that's what they want you to think is the reason why it's selling off. So to kind of circle back before we talk about price points in particular, to circle back on, well, is it a good thing? You just told me, Derek, that Bitcoin could go to zero. You told me that there's someone who seems to be a credible commenter on your YouTube who's claiming as such, who works for financial institutions. He was right about them being in control of it. He was right about that. He also said that Bitcoin would go to zero. Do you have a price target? I think it's good news. Honestly, as much as it sucks, as an investor, it's good news that the institutions and the whales are controlling Bitcoin, because they'll do the same thing that they did the stock market, which is basically, if you just buy and hold, it will go higher. If you try to get in there and play with it, they'll wreck you. And that's what we're seeing happen with Bitcoin. It's the same thing that happens in the financial markets. So as an investor, I'm happy that the whales are here manipulating it, because typically when they're manipulating something and they have a way to make money on it, they need to make it go higher, because that's how they get people in. They get people into it by making it go higher. And is this it? Is this if they were going to somehow take Bitcoin to zero, would now be the time to do it? Hell no. There's so much more money they can make on this. I'm telling you, they're licking their chops and they're just dying to get that money. And crypto's open 24/7. It's unregulated. I mean, this is a better place for them to make money and run their scams than the stock market. Way better. So I think that they're not going to try to kill Bitcoin, but they will flush it around all over the place. And only they know where it's going. I heard a lot of people say Bitcoin's going to 20,000, 21,000, 22,000. I heard that a lot. In fact, I saw people on Facebook saying, oh yeah, I heard that too. So just remember that the disinformation goes both ways. Remember when the rumor was getting floated around, everyone was sharing the picture of Mark Zuckerberg and his goats, Bitcoin and Max, and we're saying, oh, Mark Zuckerberg's a Bitcoin maximalist. Look at the name of his goats. And then there was rumors about how Zuck was buying hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin, trying to compete with the Winklevoss. Remember that? That was bullshit. And they circulated that. And we bought it, and a lot of people shared that crap. Uncorroborated, no information from Zuck himself, just straight up shared it. And, it was crap information. We're seeing here where we hit that resistance level again, and it's flattening. So, when we have to interpret the information now that we know that we're being manipulated. Okay. Remember, this isn't a bad thing. This doesn't mean it's going to go to zero. This doesn't mean that it's all over. It could go lower though. That's for sure. And that's what I'm going to talk about here in a second, is kind of where it could go, what we have to fight through, where we have to win if Bitcoin's going to make it back anytime soon. And it may not. It may not. But if they want you to be bullish when they're going to sell, and they want you to be bearish when they're going to buy. So you got to remember that. The information that's coming out about Bitcoin, especially on the mainstream media, I like to look at CNBC because I know what they are. Paid for media. That's what they are. So you can see the propaganda. If you know the propagandists want you to be bullish, and the reason why I haven't done a Bitcoin video in a while, I have a newborn, and the reason why I got sort of bearish was because we had all this great information coming in. Oh, look, Tom Brady, laser eyes. Supposedly Facebook and Zuckerberg are on board. All these things are happening that were so positive, but the price wasn't going higher. We were stuck at 55 grand and we're just kind of stuck in this range for a long time with all this good news coming in. It's like, that's a bad sign, team. That's a bad sign. That is a bad sign. And of course we went much lower. I didn't sell any Bitcoin. But I've been buying more. I'm sticking to my investment plan, but this is something we need to know. So when are we going to know when to buy? For people who haven't gotten in yet, people who've been waiting for a dip, when is a good time to buy? You can always scale in and buy. Just buy every week. That way you don't have to time it. That's what I would recommend. What about people who people have reached out to me and said, hey, I'm thinking about putting $1 million into Bitcoin. Should I do it or not? I mean, people are asking me those kinds of questions. It's crazy, right? And I'll tell them the same thing I'm telling you right now, which is we'll know. We just have to remember sort of opposite test. The opposite test is when they're spreading all of these rumors that are really, really positive, okay, then that means they want us to be bullish so that we will buy. Okay, that's what they want. When they are sharing negative stuff, That's because they want us to be bearish, because they want to purchase. Okay? So they're going to sell, or they want us to be bullish so that we can buy from them at the top. I'm not sure if I said that right. And then at the bottom, when we know where there's a bottom, is going to be when there's tons of negative information, but the price isn't really going lower. And I think between 30 and 40,000, I think this range is where we're going to kind of see some things happen. And you see here, we're just really struggling to get through this level here. And we've knocked on the door a couple times, you know, maybe you could say here, but we've got a lot of room. We got a lot of hurdles to get through. And let's look at those hurdles now. Okay, this is the daily. So we have a Fibonacci here from our most recent cycle high, tracing back down here to the low around 30,000. And this is Binance, where I'm using this data on TradingView. So you can see the downtrend is still fully intact, even though this daily candle looks really good right here, right? I mean, it's a great looking daily candle. It's phenomenal. And we did get above this one particular Fibonacci area here, which is great. We're above that. Hopefully we'll close above that. That's step one. That's step one. We got a lot of steps to get through here, team. A lot of steps, and they get increasingly difficult. Because here's what I can tell you. Even all the way up to here, and this is the one that I worry about the most. I think we could get back up to 48,000, and by then, they'll have everybody totally bought in to the idea that Bitcoin's back. You know, the bull market is intact. We're good to go. But just know, based off this Fibonacci, a failure at any point here, 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 or here could send this thing lower, and that would just be a normal continuation with this current downtrend that we're in. And getting up, and this is the part right here, this right here, this line, this fib right here at 48,000, this is the one that worries me the most. Because as you can see, this is former support turning into resistance right on a Fibonacci line. The manipulators would not have to throw a lot of money in right here. They would not have to put much into this to really, because they would have so much support from day traders and so forth to go short right here, and it blows it. Now, the good side on that, the flip side on that is that if we have put in a bottom and the whales now have all the coins that they want, which I do not think they will, typically they're not going to be able to buy very quickly. They want to buy a lot of coins and they don't want to move the price much higher. So, you know, they'll slowly buy over a long period of time. And it could be a month that we go sideways here between and bounce around inside of these different channels. You know, we could stay inside of this one channel right here for a month or two. Be super boring, be horrible, right? Be like blow my brains out boring. But we could, and everything is still on. If we go sideways for a long period of time, that will be good. That will mean that the manipulators are continuing to release negative information, but they're really buying the dips until they have accumulated enough. And then they start spreading the positive news. They approve the ETFs. They do all those things and move way, way higher. Now, if we get up to this 618 here at 48,000, this also is the potential short squeeze. This will be where we find out how everything stands right here. Because if a bunch of traders load up on shorts right here and there's a bunch of free money to get wiped out, we could just blow higher right through here. That could be the moment that they decide to run this thing higher. And we go to new all-time highs. But you can see we got a lot of hurdles to get from. First one is close inside of this right here. Second one is close inside of this somewhere. Third one is close inside of this somewhere. And the fourth one is to go above this. And I can't tell you how important that is. Now, for me, it's good for me not to look at the price of Bitcoin. I don't look at it but once a day in detail. I may glance at it, or I may see it posted on something. I try not to look at it as much, because right now is where they're really trying to play with your emotions. Really, and they're always trying to, but definitely right now, really trying to play with your emotions. So just know that long term, the fundamentals of Bitcoin are very, very strong. It is built to grow your money. It appears that we're not the only ones who are interested in this. And so we have to, you know, obviously the whales are involved. Yeah, so let's just talk about a couple things here. FOMO is definitely always a flag. Yep, if you experience FOMO, like, oh, I got to get in before it's going to be too late. even when I was buying initially at 53,000, I knew, like, in my heart, like, I'm a better investor in this. I know I should wait. And the cryptos crash all the time. I should wait for a better time to get in. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to start my purchasing now. I'm buying over the long haul. So it's tough. It's tough to time. And that's the reason why I don't want to short. I don't want to buy and sell. I just want to go ahead and hold for the long haul. And I believe that I'm right. I believe that 2025, after the next halving, we will be way higher than we are right now. Possibly high enough to retire people who were able to accumulate a couple coins, and that would be obviously ideal. Best payday ever buying those alt dips yesterday. Wild. Out until BTC dips again. And see, this is what I was saying earlier about the disinformation goes both ways. When they're giving bearish information, when you're seeing the news is super bearish, or you're seeing the China FUD and those different things, just know that they want you to be bearish. I said earlier that I heard people saying 21,000. They want to put that number in your head so that you will think, oh, well, it's at 31. Well, I'll wait until 21. It's going to go lower. It's going to get into the 20s. I'll at least wait until the 20s. And if you're hearing circulate, oh, it's going to get to 20, it's going to 20, 20, 20, 20, or 25 or 28, they could be the ones responsible for those rumors to keep you from buying it in the 30s. Because they want to buy it in the 30s. So remember, they're trying to always clear a path for what they're trying to do. So if they're trying to sell without knocking the price down, they run propaganda to get you to go buy so they can sell it to you and the price will stay relatively the same. They do the same thing on the way up, and this is what we're really looking for. And we're starting to see a lot of it. A lot of the negative information that's coming, it's been coming on Bitcoin. We're starting to see a lot of it. There's going to be more. They're not done, I don't think. But when that stuff comes in, just know they're buying. On those dips, they're buying. That they created those dips so that they could buy. So just remember that. And you need to kind of fade yourself a little bit. If you ever get to that point where you're like, oh my God, I want to sell it all, just know that's probably when you should buy. It's hard to fade yourself, but just know they have emotions, which is what market manipulation is run on. They have it down pat. They have it down pat. They know exactly how to do it. They know exactly what you're going to think. They know exactly how you're going to react. And that's why they do the things that they do. So let's go back to the 15-minute here for a second. So we can actually, I would like to spy on this a little bit. So you see here, this line here, which I just drew sort of happenstantically. This line is that spot that we've been having a hard time getting through. We're sort of double topping up here. If you continue drawing this up, we have this sort of, this crossroads that we're coming into here where we're either going to roll over out of this, and head down lower, hopefully find some support here at 36.8, or we can finally bust through this thing, and I think if we bust through this thing, you'll know that, okay, the whales have stepped aside for a minute. They're not ready to knock this thing down again. Maybe they're waiting for another Fibonacci. But as I said, my estimation is that they will use this to be a point to turn it around and move it lower. I don't think they're done accumulating yet. So anyway, that's what's going on. That's my investment thesis. That's why I don't care what the price of Bitcoin is. I'm buying every week, and I'll be buying until 2025, where I may sell. That's when my trading plan gives me the opportunity to sell if I want to, but it's unlikely that I would sell until the end of 2025, unless we're way up there. If Bitcoin's 800,000 or something like that, and I can, take millions of dollars to the bank, I may do that. We'll see. I'm giving myself the option, but the most important thing is I'm sticking with my plan. I'm sticking with what I created initially with my trading thesis, my investment thesis, and I'm sticking with it. I'm hodling. I'm not going to let them play with my emotions. Not going to let them, because I do believe that they want this to go higher. I do believe that ultimately the whales who are manipulating this market do want it to go higher, because remember, the higher it goes, the easier it is for them to sell to more people, to get more people to buy at a bad time so that they can knock it down and crush it again. We have everything set up for this to be the exact same as the way the stock market works. And here it is. Here's that candle I was telling you about that was coming. Live action. So I can sit here and be bullish, but I have to be honest, right? People don't like to hear it. They really don't. They don't want to hear it. that, hey, okay, well, it looks like this is failing and it's going to go lower. And where's our next support? Okay, it's somewhere down here, 36 something. People don't want to hear it, but the bottom line is this is what's happening. And now here it comes. And I'll bet you right now, you will see we had a lot of volume in this candle right here, which we thought was going to take us to the promised land. We'll see how much volume there is in this candle right here when it's all said and done. But they like to run these sort of runs at the price of Bitcoin when the market's slow. And right now it's trading very slowly. It's very calm. There's not a ton of money coming in. It's a little bit easier to knock it down when that happens. They don't have to put a whole bunch of coins into it to really make a big impact on it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but hopefully this will just continue. You know, there is a potential for a continuation here to move higher. We'll see what happens. Good luck to everyone out there. I hope that's helpful. Sorry the videos haven't been coming that often. You know, I have a newborn, doing my best to basically play defense to stay alive. So I'm doing my best, but want to give you information when I have it. Follow at DiamondHandsD on Twitter, and I'll see you soon.